Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for the Tech Guy is provided by Cachefly. CACHEFLY.com. Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Radio Networks on Sunday, November 13th, 2011. This is episode 822. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by Ford, featuring Wi-Fi connectivity with available sync and My Ford Touch. Now your car can be a Wi-Fi hotspot. Check it out in the new 2012 Ford Focus and at Ford.com/technology. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. And it's time to talk computers, the internet, cell phones, camcorders, MP3 players, home theater, and all that jazz. And Kindle Fire, too, yes. If you have a tech question, a comment, a suggestion, if you want some buying advice, I do that. I love to spend your money. The number 888-827-5536. That's easy to remember, though, because it's just 8888 Ask Leo. Think of two 88-keyed pianos. 8888 Ask Leo. So you visualize that. You'll never forget that number. Just two pianos, and then you can do whatever you want with Ask Leo. And then I'll be here. I'll magically appear on your phone. So Tuesday is Kindle Day, isn't it? The 15th. And then Wednesday is the Nook Tablet Day. So this is Tablet Week. Now, the Kindle, the new Amazon Kindle Fire is, do they call it the Kindle Fire or just the Fire? I can call it the Fire, but it's kindling. See, it should go with Kindle, and Fire should go together. They could call the little one the kindling and the big one the fire. I guess that means the middle one would be kind of like a log. That's not good. So the Kindle, the Amazon Fire, is $200. The Nook Color Nook Tablet is $250. And Barnes & Noble, the way they're selling the Nook Tablet is saying, well, it's got twice the speed and twice the RAM. And I think they're missing the boat, don't you? Do you think anybody cares about the speed and the RAM? Do they even know anymore? I think we're in that post-PC world where, do you know what processor is in your Kindle? Do you care? Can it read the book? Can it show the video? Then it's fine. Stephen 3X in the chat room says there'll be a bigger Kindle Fire called the Conflagration. Maybe. The Fire is $200. That's an amazing price, especially when you're competing. I don't think you're competing with the Barnes & Noble tab. I think you're competing with the iPad. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. The iPad, which starts at $500. Starts at $500. $300 more. Now, we haven't seen the Kindle yet, but it will have a browser. It will have email. Of course, it'll have a book reader in it. But now remember, for people who like the Amazon Kindle, it's a different screen on the Fire. The Kindle has that e-ink screen, which makes it very easy to read and bright light. You know, it's very crisp, it's solid, doesn't flicker, uses very little power because on the original Kindle, power is only used when you turn the page. After that, it just sits there. It barely uses any power at all. That's how you can get weeks of battery life on the regular Kindle. The Fire won't be like that. The Fire is a backlit IPS screen, pretty much the same kind of screen that's on a iPad, and of course uses power the whole time it's on. It's backlit. That light has to stay on. So two things: doesn't work as well in sunlight. If you're not going to take it to the beach, and it uses up the battery probably in a day. We'll have to wait and see. Wait until Tuesday to find out exactly. On the other hand, you can read it under the covers, which you can't do with the old Kindle. You don't have any light, so you have to. The old Kindle, you have to shine a light on it. The Fire, you can read under the covers, and the Fire does something much more that the old Kindle can't do. It shows movies and TV shows. There'll be animated magazines, you know, big multimedia magazines. In fact, that might be the most interesting use of the Kindle. I'm sorry, the Fire. Please forgive me if I'm going to misstate this for months until I get this right. The Inferno, the Conflagration, and the Fire. The Fire I think the most interesting thing, it's not going to be, I don't know if books are really the most important thing. I think magazines. How much do you spend a year on People magazine, or what do you read? The Economist, Time, or Newsweek? How much do you spend a year on those magazines? That might be really, and what if you had, what if it were kind of live? What if you could bookmark stuff? There'd be video and audio in it. It was, rich color. Might be interesting. Might be interesting. I think that they've already announced almost, all the big magazines are going to be available on this thing. And then, of course, I'm sure they'll have Netflix, and they'll have apps too, because it's based on Android. So it'll be very interesting. Snafu wonders, if you rub two Kindles together, do you get a fire? No, I think you need lighter fluid. Crafting magazines. Dr. Mom is a crafter. She does jewelry and makes jewelry and does knitting and things. She's got a very good point. Crafting magazines, or magazines like Make Magazine, where you build stuff, those will be so much better, won't they? In a form where you could see an animation or a video of how you do this. It's going to be very interesting. Best Buy will also have it. So if you, and for people who haven't yet ordered, see, there are people like me. I just ordered it immediately. I'll be getting mine on Tuesday. But if you haven't yet ordered it, you'll be able to go in on Tuesday to Best Buy and take a look, and that might be a good idea. Radio says guitar magazines. Yeah, you don't just have printed tablature. You can see the fingering. You can see how it's done. You can hear it. So the name. Okay, so there's the Kindle. There's the. Okay, there's the Kindle. There's the Kindle DX. There's the what's the middle Kindle called? The Kindle keyboard, right? Kindle keyboard with keyboard. And then the Fire apparently is called the Kindle Fire. It's almost Germanic the way they're just sticking this stuff all together. It's the Kindle Fire. Anyway, I'll have one on Tuesday. I'll get a Barnes and Noble tablet on Wednesday, and we'll have a little face-off next weekend. I'll be curious though. Are you buying one? We had a caller yesterday. It was very nice. His grandma wanted to buy him a tablet, and he was saying, "Well, should I get an iPad or should I get the Samsung Galaxy Tab, the Android-based?" And I forgot. I should have told him. Maybe I was being kind. But his grandma could save $300 and just buy him the Fire. And I bet you, for most people, the Fire is what you want. Depends what you do. There won't be, great Apple programs like iMovie and GarageBand, which are so great on the iPad too. No, of course they're not going to have anything like that. It's the Kindle Touch. Okay. And then, but no, there's also the Kindle, the oldest style with the keyboard still out. So there's the Kindle Touch, the Kindle Keyboard, and the Kindle Fire. Got it. Amazon not famous for their branding, but I think, or their design. Frankly, their industrial design has always been a little. But I think that this is going to be a very important device. We'll see. We shall watch, shall we not? If you're going to get one, 8888 Ask Leo. I'd love to hear about it. Or if you're not going to get one, I'd love to hear why. And then we'll talk next week after they've come out. You're right. Big Ginge in Great Britain, who listens in the UK, says it's better naming than Nokia. That's true. It's another thing we saw this week, and it'll be out soon, is the new Windows Phone 7.5. We will not get the Nokia Lumia 800. That's Europe only. We'll get it next year. Yeah, you're lucky. Yeah, you're getting it, huh? But next year, I think we're going to get one that will be the Lumia 850 or whatever, and it'll have a few extra features. For instance, the Lumia 800 unaccountably does not have a front-facing camera, and I think that's probably pretty important on a smartphone these days. So you can do Skype and other programs that use the video. There'll be also a new 7.5 phone on AT&T, the Titan. I'm going to get me a Titan. I think actually I am going to get me a Titan. But if you really, I think that is 4 3/4 inches. It's huge. And then there's a T-Mobile has one that I think has a keyboard. It's confusing. And then there's a new phone from Motorola, a new Droid for Verizon. Verizon's got the new Razr. There's a name you might remember, the RAZR. It's back, baby. 7.1 millimeters. So it's really thin. How do you choose these days? Well, talk about it. 8888 Ask Leo. I'm Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hey, this show brought to you, as always, by our friends at Ford, the Ford Motor Company. They are a great friend of the companies, of TWiT and of the Tech Guy Show, and we just love them right back because they're making cars that are just state-of-the-art, 21st century vehicles. And I like that because I don't, you know, time was you get in a car and you're just kind of disconnected from the world. No internet, no music. Now I get in the car, I've got the internet thanks to Wi-Fi connectivity, my Ford Sync. Actually, I don't have it. It's in my Mustang, but it is in the new 2012 Ford Focus, and I'm going to have it because that's next on my list. If you go to Ford.com/technology, you can see all the cool things they're doing with the cars. This Wi-Fi is amazing. It turns your car to a Wi-Fi hotspot, giving you and your passengers internet access for up to 5 devices at once. You just plug in a portable wireless access card into the USB port. It's in the center armrest console or the glove compartment or under the radio, depending on which model. If you have a BlackBerry, you can connect to the hotspot wirelessly via Bluetooth. That's cool, too. It's just one of about 8,000 cool things Ford is doing to keep your vehicle in the 21st century. You got to try the Ford Sync, the My Ford Touch. You just got to get in a Ford and see this all. The My Key for teenagers. It limits the speed and the level of the audio system and even tells them when they've run out of gas a little bit sooner because you know how teenagers are. They'll love the capless fuel filler, too, because they can never lose the cap. It's a silly little thing, but I love it. There's no cap. The inflatable rear safety belts are great for the younger ones. It's the first. And, of course, the engines Ford's using, whether it's the plug-in hybrid, the electric, the hybrid itself, or even the EcoBoost engines, fuel efficiency, but they don't sacrifice peppiness, power, fun. I love my Mustang. I know you'll love your next Ford. Ford.com/technology to learn more, or visit your Ford dealer and take a drive. Ford.com/technology. We thank them so much for their support of the Tech Guy podcast. I have the House of Fire. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. 8888 Ask Leo. Perry is in, is it Scio, Oregon? Is that right, Perry? Scio?
Scio, Oregon.
Scio, you pronounce. S-C-I-O, is that right?
Yes.
All right.
People around here call it SC10.
SC10. We're at SC10 here. Well, what can I do for you?
Well, first off, I've been watching you from ZDTV, and, you know, you truly are the Captain Kangaroo of...
I think that's apt. Captain Kangaroo, I like that. I grew up watching Captain Kangaroo, so it makes sense.
Did I.
The young people are going, who? Captain who?
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, my question, Logitech Revue.
Yes.
Discontinued.
Yes, Logitech says, we blew it. That's their Google TV device they were selling for $300. Logitech says it was a $100 million boo-boo. We're going to stop making it. We're going to write it off. I think for a while they were selling it for $99. Did you get it for $300 or did you get it for $99?
I didn't get either. I was wondering if it's time to get one or not.
Well, I'll tell you what. If they still are selling them, you know, they're not going to make them anymore. I suspect.
Right.
Now, this is the big question mark. When Logitech said, we're done. We will never make another beta product. I'm curious. Does that mean Logitech, and I wish you'd tell me, I own one. I paid the $300 for it, of course. I would love to know, Logitech, if that means you're going to hand off support for it to Google, which would be fine with me. I just don't want it to be an orphaned device. Google has already said we are going to update both the Sony and the Logitech Google TVs with the new 3.1 or maybe actually 4.0 operating system. So that could be very exciting because then, it's my understanding, the Android marketplace will show up on our Google TVs. This is something I wish Apple would do with the Apple TV because then you could buy, or actually you don't even have to buy them, you could get programs like HBO Go, CNN, PBS, 60 Minutes is a free app where you can watch 60-minute segments, and all of those would be on your big screen TV. You could manage them. You know, it works with a smartphone as a remote control, or with the Revue, you have a full-size keyboard. Now, I have to say the spouse approval factor, or SAF, on the Logitech Revue is not high. for a couple of reasons. First of all, now your living room, now your coffee table has a computer keyboard on it. Plus, at least if your spouse is anything like mine, it's a little baffling. The way it works is your cable box passes through it. It does not use its own HDMI connector on the TV, which, is nice. It doesn't use up one. So your cable box or satellite box is hooked up to your TV right now. Instead, your cable or satellite box goes into the Revue, and then the Revue goes into the TV. It passes through the Revue. You're watching TV. You press a button on the keyboard, and all of a sudden, on top of the TV, an overlay pops up with your menu of apps, your browser. If you want to add a full browser, Android to your TV, I think at $99, I think it's kind of sexy. But understand, there's a little bit of a risk here because Logitech has announced they're not keeping it, on their list.
Right.
I think Google will continue to support it. I would assume Google would continue to support it.
I believe I read that somewhere on their web.
Yeah. They did say they're going to update it to the latest version, and it's in their interest to support it because, well, what about me? What about us? What about all the 50 people who bought one of these things? What are you going to do? You're going to abandon us?
Yeah, we actually have 2 Rokus, and we're thinking
I
about
love the Roku.
getting
Look,
a third device.
yeah.
I was just wondering if that would be the device to get.
Look, in my opinion, the Roku is a no-brainer. It's a great device. I think Apple TV is a great device. I think there are a lot of good choices out there that are simple, that will be supported. The Roku is going to, they're doing great. So if for most people, Roku, but if you're a little bit of an adventurer and you want something a little more sophisticated, there's 2 things to look at. One is the Boxy Box, and the other is this Google TV, the Logitech Revue.
Right.
Both of them are desirable because they put a browser on your screen, a full browser, by the way, with Flash. So, what unfortunately happened with Google is ABC, CBS, and Fox and all the big networks said, we're going to block you. Because the way the Google TV works, you surf in the browser to the ABC site, and you can start watching shows on your big screen TV, and ABC didn't like that. They block it.
Yeah, it looks really convenient, though.
It's great if ABC wouldn't. I mean, these networks are, and we're on in LA right now in the great KFI, and I just want to tell you, networks, you're stupid. You're dumb. You know why? Because the competition is not the Google TV or the Boxy Box or Comcast. The competition is BitTorrent. The competition is Pirate Bay. If you don't make it easy, the music industry learned this. I don't know why the TV industry is so stupid. If you don't make it easy to get these shows online, we're just going to get them from somewhere else. That means piracy, and that's what you want to stop, right? Stupid.
Fire's the best teacher, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's the way it works, isn't it?
Yep, it really is.
So go ahead, ABC. Put your hand in the fire. You see if I care. No, Perry, you sound like you're kind of adventurous. You're kind of a geek. For those people, I think the Google TV is very interesting. And $99, it's not a big expense.
Yeah. Real quick, you ever going to have Kate Patello on your show?
I love Kate. Kate is in Michigan now. She and her husband are web designers. She's in Traverse City, Michigan. And I would love to get her on. So I'll tell you what. I've asked before, and she's my Facebook buddy. So I'll ask her to come on because she's my old co-host from many moons ago, 1998 on the Screensavers.
Yeah, I have a signed photo of the both of you.
I know which photo you have. That was a great picture of us on the stairs. I remember that. Yeah. Hey, thank you, Perry.
Really
Great to talk to you. If you watch the screens, anybody watched the old tech TV, you should get a Google TV. You're obviously way geekier. Way geekier. It's really interesting to watch. The same thing happened with the music industry. They went kicking and screaming. It's funny. You read the Steve Jobs biography, you realize what happened. Steve Jobs, it's a great portion of the biography where he's, now remember, he's Apple Computer, very, charismatic, reality distortion field. He goes into these Warner Brothers and says, dudes, you're getting robbed blind. People are downloading this music anyway. So, look, give us the right to sell it in iTunes. This is in 2001, I think. But it's before the iPod came out. And at this time, see, it was kind of a stealth move because the record industry thought, well, what is this little Apple guy? What is this guy from Apple? What is he can? How much damage could he do? Who uses Macintoshes? Nobody uses it. God, let's try it. It'll be a good experiment. Let's see what happens. And, of course, 10 years later, it's the #1 music retailer in the U.S., bar none. Most records get sold there. The other thing the music industry didn't like is unbundling their albums, because Jobs said, look, you got to sell individual songs because people are going to go download the individual songs on Pirate Bay or Napster or Kazaa. You got to sell individual songs for 99 cents. Oh, you're crazy. You can't do that. We make all the money on the album. We can put 2 good songs in there, 8 bad songs. They buy the album. Jobs said, no, you got to unbundle it. You got to unbundle it. And he was able to do it for 2 reasons. One, the carrot of this, at least you'll sell them. And they won't be pirating them. And the stick, you know, if you don't do it, you're dead. And he kind of was right. But they went kicking and screaming. And I just don't understand. The same offer, basically, with exactly the same parameters, is extended to the television industry and the movie industry, and they don't get it. ABC says, no, you can't show it on your Logitech Revue. That would be, I don't know what. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. This is a very strange day. You know, we're having a open house and barbecue here at the studios after the show. And I don't know whose idea it was, but somebody's got a bounce house. You know those things that kids have that you inflate and you bounce up and down? Huh? No, don't worry about it. That's all right. Everybody can go out there and bounce in the bounce house. We got the barbecue. I just hope we have liability insurance. Gene in Azusa, California. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Gene.
Hey, Leo.
Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you. I just wanted to give you a call. I know you're a big camera aficionado.
I am. It's my favorite hobby.
Well, I'm getting above the old point and shoots. I'm just frustrated with the, lack of quality and autofocus and all these things.
Yeah.
And I've been considering 3 main models. I was looking at the Canon T3i and the Nikon D5100, and then the one that's really catching my eye is the Sony, the Alpha A55 or the Alpha A65.
So all 3 of these have I believe, have an APS-C sized sensor. Is that correct?
So,
yeah. So the sensor size is a big part of what makes a camera great. The point and shoots, in order to be so compact, have very small sensors. Why is that bad? Well, the size of the sensor impacts clarity, of course. A 12-megapixel sensor that's as big as your thumbnail versus a 12-megapixel sensor that's as big as a postage stamp, there's a big difference. It also means that it can take in more light, so it's better in low light. And this is one thing digital pickups have always been bad at. They get very grainy in low light. So having a big sensor makes a big difference in terms of low light performance. You also have picked up on one of the other advantages of an SLR. You can get multiple lenses. So a point and shoot comes with 1 lens. That's it. A lens tells you how wide angle your shot will be, how telephoto it'll be. Most point and shoots, of course, have zoom, so they're in effect able to go from wide to telephoto. But there's even more than that when you start getting into picking lenses. You can have a lens that's very fast, that lets in a lot of light, good again in low light. You can have a super telephoto lens, a big honking lens. You can have a super wide angle, a fisheye. There's all sorts of choices once you can interchange your lenses, and DSLRs let you do that. The biggest thing that a DSLR does, SLR, single lens reflex, means that you are, when you look through the viewfinder, actually looking through the lens. They have a mirror in them. So you're looking through the lens, you're seeing exactly what you're going to see, what the picture is going to look like. And that is also something that photographers love. Now, there's a whole class of mirrorless interchangeable lens cameras coming out. The Micro Four Thirds cameras. Olympus makes some very nice ones. There's also this new, you probably saw the Ashton Kutcher ads for the Nikon, what do they call it, the One. Pentax also has a mirrorless interchangeable lens camera. Most of these have smaller pickups. They have the Micro Four Thirds pickup, not as big as an APS-C pickup. And mirrorless offers some additional challenges. You can't look through the lens anymore. That's what the mirror did, is it allowed you to look through the lens. So most of these have a video tap. They actually have a video camera that looks through the lens, but the quality and the resolution is very low. I don't think that that's a substitute. So I think you're actually looking in the right direction. These are entry-level, true DSLRs, mirror cameras. The difference between Sony, Nikon, and Canon, those are small differences. But remember, when you get an SLR, you're kind of saying, I'm going to be you're joining a team. Because you start investing in lenses, you're going to continue to buy cameras from that company, right? You'll change the body because you'll keep the lens. The truth is, the big investment in the long run, the best investment is good glass, good lenses. So I went Canon early on. I think the T3i is a fantastic camera. And now I'm a Canon guy, so I'm going to always be getting Canon bodies because they'll work with my Canon lenses. I have a great many very serious photographer friends who are Nikon aficionados. Nikons are great cameras and have some advantages over Canon, especially if you're doing action photography. They tend to focus faster and shoot more frames faster. On the other hand, Canon has done a great job with video. In fact, they've really focused on putting video into these DSLRs. So now the Sony is the wild card in this. They've just entered this race, and they're doing some very interesting stuff. So I'm not sure, to be honest with you, which one I would choose. I think all three of those cameras you described are great. And you're making the investment in the company. For that reason, I kind of lean toward Canon and Nikon, although I do think Sony is doing some very innovative, interesting stuff with their pickups. So I don't think there's a right answer, Gene. If you ask me flat out, what would you buy? The Canon T3i. I love that camera. I love that camera. But I have to say that there's nothing wrong with the other two, too. Are you leaning in one direction? Did I lose?
The price point that all three of these cameras are at, the Sony has, a lot better features as far as
I agree.
You can shoot 10 shots per second in burst mode, and it has GPS built in, and it also has autofocusing in video mode. And
that's because they're new and they're competing with Canon and Nikon. So what I would say is go to there's a website. There are a couple of websites I would look at. I would look closely at these guys do great technical reviews, and I would look closely at dpreview.com. They go into great depth, and they'll have all three cameras, and they'll give you everything you want to know about them. dpreview.com, and the other one is digitalcamerainfo.com. And both of them are excellent sites for reviews, and they'll have reviews of all three of these cameras, and they'll even do head-to-head comparisons because you're in the sweet spot. A lot of people at this point are looking exactly those three cameras. And I think you're right. I think you're leaning toward the Sony. I think there's no reason not to get the Sony. They're just new in this business.
Yeah, well, the Sony, from what I've researched, you can use a lot of the old Minolta lenses and so forth in the auto.
Yeah, Sony is basically Minolta. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and the image stabilization is built into the body of the camera, so any lens you get, it's going to have the image stabilization as well.
Right. I love having a GPS built into the camera. I think that's great. I think faster burst mode is also great. I think Sony is very sophisticated in the electronics. I think you can't go wrong.
Okay.
No matter what you're getting.
All right, well, I really appreciate your input.
Sure, Gene. Yeah, if you're leaning towards the Sony, as I said, I made that choice, but I made the Canon choice years ago. And it's always tricky. Now I'm in the camp, right? Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Scott Wilkinson is on the horn. He is our home theater guy from hometheater.com. Joins us every week to talk about home theater. Hi, Scott.
Hey, Leo. How you doing?
I'm great. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. And by the way, happy Binary Day last Friday.
Last Friday was oh, you mean 11/11/11?
11/11/11. That's right. It's also known as Nigel Tufnell Day.
Because it goes to 11.
Aye.
Yes. Now next year, I guess we'll have 11, 10, 11, 12.
We'll have 10, 11, 12, and we'll also have 12, 12, 12.
Oh, well, I don't know if that's binary. I think binary has got to be 11, 11, 11. Or 10, 10, 10.
Right, there were several binary days last year and this year.
Hang on, Scott. We're going to talk about home theater next with our home theater guru, Scott Wilkinson, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo, that's the number. But right now, Scott Wilkinson joins us, our home theater guru from hometheater.com. He's the online editor there and answers questions on the show every week. He also hosts a great podcast, Home Theater Geeks, every Monday, 1:30 Pacific, 4:30 Eastern on twit.tv. You can also download that after the fact from TWiT.tv. In fact, you're going to talk about streaming TV tomorrow, right, Scott?
That's right. I got as my guest geek, Barb Gonzalez, who spends a lot of time looking at streaming TV and streaming TV products. She's going to be talking about the new Roku 2, which was released recently. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm really looking forward to that because, as you and I both agree, Roku is really doing great in the streaming business.
Oh yeah. So we had a caller, and maybe you can address this, who was asking about the Logitech Revue and Google TV. Everybody. So there's two ways you can get your TV on the internet. You can buy a TV with an internet connection.
Right.
Or you could buy something external to your TV that has an internet connection. Many people are getting that just out of the box with their Blu-ray player.
That's right. Most Blu-ray players now have that. In fact, most TVs now have that.
Right.
I just attended a briefing with Panasonic about their latest VieraCast apps and so on, Wealth TV and AccuWeather. And I'm really starting to believe that TV watching is moving towards a model where you're going to download the apps for the channels you want to watch. And so finally, after the satellite companies and the cable companies have forced us to buy these packages with a bunch of channels we don't want, we're finally going to be able to go a la carte.
It's about time.
At least it's moving towards that. Now, we still have some problems, as you pointed out, with Google TV. Was it ABC or NBC? One of the
Fox, ABC, and I think all of them have decided not to support it.
Yeah, which is stupid, as you said. Yeah, it's just ridiculous.
Well, it is frustrating.
It is. It's terribly frustrating.
But ultimately, so I think we agree. Ultimately, that television is there's not going to be any distinction between getting content from your internet connection versus your cable or your satellite connection. They're all connections to your TV, and they'll be roughly equal. That your your internet connection will be on a par with your cable connection.
Yep, that's absolutely true. Now, the quality issue is still there. I've been watching a lot of Netflix streaming lately. I've decided I'm going to go back and watch Deep Space Nine. That's actually my favorite Star Trek series. I'm probably in the minority there too, but so I've started watching this series again, and it's first of all, it was shot in standard def for one thing, but then I see a lot of compression artifacts that I don't see with broadcast or satellite. Yeah. So there is a quality issue, which many of my readers are more concerned about. Most of the polls I do that ask, do you prefer quality or convenience, or quality or availability, immediate availability as streaming gives you? And most of my readers who respond to the survey say quality is king.
Well, that's because those are people reading Home Theater magazine. I mean, come on, that's different.
Exactly. No. I agree with you completely. And for the general public,
I'm happy with 720p, although I know that Netflix is doing 1080p. That new Roku is capable of 1080p. But you're still going to see, yeah, it is.
That I didn't know. I know that Vudu is. Vudu is the only one that's really sending.
Vudu's the first, right. And Netflix is starting to. Of course, the issue is that is not enough by itself. You'll still see compression artifacts, I think.
That's right, because it's going to be much more heavily compressed than broadcast, and certainly a hell of a lot more compressed than Blu-ray.
Right. So, but the convenience, in my opinion, outweighs the quality. And if you have a Blu-ray player, you'll get the Blu-ray disc if that's what you really care about.
That's exactly right. And one of the really great advantages of streaming is you can find content there that isn't available anywhere else.
Yeah, that's true too.
Not available on Blu-ray. It's not being broadcast anywhere. So that's really one of the big advantages that I find to streaming. Now, the big question is availability, and these networks that won't let Google TV show their stuff. Apple TV only lets you watch stuff from iTunes. When are we going to? What my big question is: when are we going to see a product that gives you access to everything?
Right.
Everything that's available online. I want it just as easily as I get my TV stations.
The cord cutters lament, we call that.
Indeed.
Yeah, because cord cutters, that is people who don't buy cable TV or they don't buy satellite TV, want to watch the Academy Awards, they want to watch the Super Bowl, they want to watch live news. And those are the three things that are currently difficult to get. Now, I think the NFL, Major League Baseball, the NBA have all seen the light. These people apparently are smarter than the rest of the industry because they're making apps that will let you watch their games on a box, and they're not blocking it. You pay for it. But why not? You go direct. You know, maybe they've got, you know what part of it is? They've got better deals with the cable companies. They wield a heavier mallet.
Yes.
So, you know, when CNN goes to the cable company says, well, yeah, we'll carry your signal, but you got to promise us never to put it on the internet. When the NFL says that, when NFL comes to them, they beg, please, we'll give you millions of dollars, please, let us broadcast football. So it's a different story, and that's why I think the Major League Sports are going to be first there. Academy Awards, I think, will be soon. You know, this year's Oscars, they had an iPad app where you could watch 8 different streams from backstage, from around the corner, from down the hall. Yeah. They couldn't do the mainstream, but that's just a matter of time, I think.
Right. Well, that then gets into the whole issue of multi-screen viewing and multitasking viewing, where you're watching the main program on your big TV, plus you've got an iPad or something in your lap.
Right.
And, you know, you're communicating with your friends and you're doing this and that. The new Panasonic apps are going to let you do Facebook and Twitter on the TV while you're watching TV.
Wow.
Which
just
is
what I want.
Yeah. It's not what I want.
Google TV lets you tweet, too, while you watch TV. I don't get that. I want to watch TV. If I want to tweet, I guess, you know, that's because we're wired enough that we have an iPad or a laptop in our lap, and we are tweeting. I mean, it's obvious people are tweeting during the Oscars.
Sure. And probably during big games, too.
I just don't want to see it in front of my game. I want to see... You know, I want to be able to look at the game. Well, it's not in front of your game.
In the case of Panasonic,
it's a little PIP.
It's a little side box, basically, and the size of the picture's been reduced on the screen slightly.
That's what I don't want, you see.
Personally, I don't want that either, but I brought that up at the briefing, and I surmise that it's probably a generational thing. That when I watch TV, I want to watch TV. I want to get involved. I want to get ingrained into the story. But
we're the passive generation.
Exactly.
The kids today.
My niece Maya says, I can't just watch TV by itself. I've got to have something else to do.
Scott Wilkinson, he's the online editor, Home Theater Magazine, hometheater.com if you want to read more. And don't forget to watch Home Theater Geeks. It's on tomorrow, 1:30 Pacific, 4:30 Eastern at twit.tv. See, we're on TV via the Internet.
It's true. And I'm very happy to be.
Yeah. And by the way, BitTorrent just announced, and I'm really anxious to try this, that they're going to start to. BitTorrent, of course, is the peer-to-peer system that is, I think, unfortunately maligned because it's often used for piracy, but it can be used for any large file. We used to use it to distribute our audio files on my podcasts because it was free bandwidth. And basically we said to the listeners, help us out, you know, help a brother out, help share these files. Now they're doing live. Live.bittorrent.com. And it's peer-to-peer. And this is a great way to solve this problem of how do you get enough bandwidth to have 1 million or 2 million or 5 million or 10 million people watching something. Well, have them all share a little bit of their bandwidth and pass it along. It's a very interesting idea.
So can you get TWiT on BitTorrent?
Not yet. I've been begging them. And if you're listening, Bram, let us know. I'd love to do it. It would be awesome. It'd be awesome. Because what we would do is we would say, okay, good, well, we'll send you a high-def signal. We'll give you a really high-quality signal. Then how do you feel? Then how do you feel, NBC and ABC?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. Thank you, Scott Wilkinson.
My pleasure.
Appreciate talking to you. Scott is, again, on hometheater.com. Go there right now. You can answer his poll question, and he's always, in fact, next time we come on, we'll talk about the poll questions because he's always got a great one at hometheater.com. Well, a good day to you. Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. And it's time, it's time to talk computers, the internet, cell phones, camcorders, MP3 players, home theater, and all that jazz. Our photograph expert, Mr. Digital Photography himself, Chris Marquardt, joins us at 33 after the hour today. So he's going to, I have to ask him about his recommendation on your first digital SLR. That's a good person to ask. 8888 Ask Leo, hour number 2 of the Tech Guy Show, starting with Carol in Agoura Hills. Hi, Carol. Leo Laporte.
Hi. How are you doing?
Good. Good to talk to you.
Thank you. I've listened to you for years, and I'm just about coming to the 21st century.
Yay! Wait a minute, you've listened to me for years, but you're still in the 20th century? How did that happen?
I guess so. I guess I'm not that fast.
Well, what can I do to help you?
Thank you so very, very much. I have a question. I need a new phone and a tablet. So I was wondering whether or not the Dell Streak 7-inch tablet would be acceptable. And I have T-Mobile service, so I was also wondering whether the Galaxy phone, the Android, would be something that would be good for me because I want to learn about everything, but I don't want to be overwhelmed with all the technology.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. So you want a phone and a tablet. You don't want a phone that is a tablet. I don't think anybody makes a phone that is a tablet. I mean, the Streak is the biggest.
No, I want a phone and a tablet.
And a tablet. I'll tell you, I'll be honest with you. I think Android is great for phones. I think it's less than great for tablets. And it's mostly because the Android operating system they made it look great on a smaller scale, but Honeycomb, which is their tablet operating system, for now, Ice Cream Sandwich is coming. Just is a little rough around the edges. There's not a lot of tablet apps. So I'm not crazy about the... I think if you're going to buy a tablet, it's still best to get an iPad. Is there a reason you wanted to get an Android tablet? Hello? Now I know why she wants a phone. It just dropped right off. I guess we lost her. I heard her clicking in and out a little bit during the call, and I have a feeling that her battery was dying. So, Carol, I hope you're listening on the radio because I'll continue to answer you. The thing, of course, that's the issue is you're new to this. So this will be your first smartphone and your first tablet. I mean, talk about jumping in with both feet. I often recommend for new smartphone users, and you're going to laugh when I say this, Windows. Now, I would never have recommended this in the past, but the new Windows Phone 7 is great and very straightforward, very easy to use. Doesn't have a lot of apps yet. All the basic ones are there, the ones most people want. But I just think it's very easy to use. So for that reason, it's often a good first smartphone. The next easiest to use is the iPhone for sure. And well, you can't deny it. The iPhone is absolutely the gold standard for smartphones. It really is. A certain advantage to having both an iPhone and an iPad. Basically, they're the same. So once you know how to use one, you'll know how to use the other. Everything you learn on one will translate over to the other. And in fact, even many of the applications you buy for one will appear on the other because Apple sets it up that way. A single account, buy the applications once, and if they are what we call universal applications, they'll appear on both your iPhone and your tablet. And there's a lot to be said for that. So truthfully, if it's your first tablet, your first smartphone, I have to say, I think the best recommendation, unless you want to be T-Mobile, your best recommendation is an iPhone and an iPad. Now, you did say T-Mobile, and I don't know if that's just because I'm not sure why you're saying T-Mobile. If you want T-Mobile, you cannot get an iPhone or iPad on T-Mobile. They don't offer it. So for that, perhaps T-Mobile does offer a great Windows phone. In fact, they offer the new version of Windows Phone, Windows Phone 7.5. And I think that's going to be out very soon. So it probably would be worth going to your T-Mobile store and saying, I want the new, I want Mango is the name of it. I want the Mango Windows Phone from T-Mobile. You also, I guess you're already on T-Mobile, all right. Tablet's not as big a deal because what happens with the tablet is if you don't buy 3G, you're just going to use Wi-Fi. It doesn't care. You don't matter what carrier you're on. If you do want the 3G, you have your choice, but it's a brand new account and it's the same price and it's just it doesn't bind you to a carrier. It's month to month. So if you buy an iPad, you can buy Verizon or AT&T, and it doesn't really matter. Let me tell you what the T-Mobile Windows Phone... I would look at the Windows Phone 7 if you want to stay on T-Mobile. The other good T-Mobile choice, and this the one I have, is the Galaxy S2, which is my favorite Android phone right now. The Galaxy S2. But T-Mobile is going to have the HTC Radar 4G or the HTC HD7. Both are excellent phones. I think those are the older ones, though. I'm not sure if one of those is mangified yet. This is the problem with Android. Which one is? The Radar is a Mango? All right. That's their 4G version. Nice phone. Very nice phone. I haven't helped you, have I, Carol? You want me to give you just a straight-ahead answer? If you want Android, get the Galaxy S2 on T-Mobile. Excellent phone. Beautiful screen. You're going to love it. Android, I think, is absolutely ready for prime time on the phone. Get the iPad. You'll have to get Verizon or AT&T if you want 3G. Doesn't matter. It's $30 a month. It's month to month. You know, it's no commitment. And I think that's going to give you the best of both worlds. There is an advantage to having an iPhone and an iPad together, I have to say. Michael's in Petaluma. Hey, Michael, Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo, how you doing?
Just down the street, huh?
Yeah, that's right, sir. Hey, I am calling because I was watching Netflix, and they needed me to upgrade my Silverlight.
Yes.
And what happened was when I tried to upgrade it, it said the installation failed. And so then what I did is I went to try to uninstall it, and I get a message saying through the control panel, the installation source for this product is not available. Verify that the source exists and that you can locate it. So I'm stuck.
Yeah, no kidding, you're stuck. How frustrating is that? You're on Windows XP?
Vista.
Vista.
Yeah.
I wonder now. I mean, the best thing, of course, to do. Well, first thing I would do. You do run your Windows updates regularly, I hope. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So you're up to date with your .NET and all of that stuff.
Yes.
You might want to go to the Microsoft Silverlight page. See, what you did is try to do the install in place. If you can get a standalone Silverlight download, let me see if you can do that. Okay. That might be the best way to install it. This is often a problem. It's convenient to do this install in place. You know, you're running in your web browser and it goes to the Silverlight and it downloads in the background. It just happens. But if it fails, you're kind of out of luck. Ann in our chat room says, call Netflix. They know how to fix this. That's actually a good point. I bet you this happens to...
They do.
Yeah. Oh, you've talked to them.
What about they said that Microsoft had an uninstall tool.
Is that what Netflix said?
No, I just was reading some posts and stuff. I don't know how valid it was.
Yeah, I don't know.
No.
I don't know. I'm looking at Microsoft Answers because that would presumably. If you go to silverlight.net/downloads, you can just download the standalone. I think you don't need to uninstall it. What I would try to do. Let me see. Oh my gosh. Here's how you uninstall Silverlight. It's wow. You have to go into your registry. You have to delete some keys. It's not fun.
Oh, that sounds...
you know what I'm going to make you do is call Netflix. Maybe they have a better way. This is the Microsoft way. I will put this in the show notes at Tech Guy Labs. Ridiculous. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Rocking out. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. I've been equivocating, haven't I, in my answers? I should just say it, shouldn't I? Sometimes, this is a problem with tech guys, we tech guys. Because what happens is, most people when they call just want me to say, buy a Canon camera, buy an iPhone and iPad, get rid of Silverlight, get a Mac. They want me to say stuff like that, right? Instead, I've been equivocating. Say, well, you might like Sony, you might like Nikon. You don't. The truth is, that's the way it is. Really, there's no right answer in any of this stuff. You just have to pick the one you want. So the best I feel the best I can do for you is to suggest pros and cons on each, and then let you, based on having more information, make the choice. And, of course, thank goodness for the chat room. We put the links to everything I talk about in the show notes. That's techguylabs.com. You'll find a link there to the chat room as well. They are wonderful people who are very helpful to everybody. And that's not the chat room. Where's the chat room? Our barbecue has taken over all the cameras now. And they are very helpful, and you can always ask a question in there. In fact, I ask questions all the time of the chat room. They are my brains. They are my smart people. TechGuyLabs.com is the place to go. There's a chat link there. There are show notes for all 822 episodes. James DeRuvo's writing everything I say down right now, and I will make sure that James also has the link to that Microsoft Answers page where you've got that very extensive registry hack to fix the problem with Silverlight. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, I think Ann had the right suggestion. Call Netflix. It's in their interest that you get it working. You know, Microsoft announced this week, well, I'm sorry, I shouldn't say they announced it because they didn't. Mary Jo Foley, who covers Microsoft, got a leak, a tip that Microsoft will probably be backing off Silverlight, that Silverlight is not going to be an important part of Windows 8 going forward. Interesting, because Adobe this week also said, we're not putting Flash on mobile anymore. And you got to think, if Flash is not on the mobile platform, which is the fastest growing, it's the way people use stuff, it is the future of computing. If it's not on mobile, well, who cares if it's on desktops? Nobody's going to design a website using Flash if the majority of users can't see it. So I think you might as well say bye-bye to Flash. And Steve Jobs posthumously declares victory, because that was his goal all along. You know, Steve, again, they talk about this in the biography. It's great to find out what really happened. We knew that Steve didn't like Adobe for some reason. Well, it turns out that when Adobe decided to stop making Premiere, its video editing program for the Macintosh, Jobs hit the roof. He declared thermonuclear war on Adobe. He never forgave them. He said, well, we're going to get our own video editing program. We're never going to rely on a third party ever again for software for the Macintosh. We're going to write our own. That's when iLife began. And I have to think that when it came time to put out the iPhone and then later the iPad, that same animosity persisted. And Steve said, and not only that, we're never going to support Flash. Take that, Adobe. And I think he could safely declare victory at this point, because that's it on Flash. Now, you may wonder, well, what am I going to watch my videos on YouTube on? What am I going to make my dancing pigs on my website with? Well, Adobe and others, and including Apple, are moving very fast forward on this new HTML5 specification, which is better than Flash in the sense that it's an open standard. You don't have to get it from a single company. It's early days. It's a brand new standard. It's not well supported yet. There's still some big question marks about how you're going to play back video, things like that. So, but, you know, I think in the long run, this probably is better. It's lighter weight. I like open. In the long run, I think this is better. Don't worry. YouTube will continue to work. Your dancing pigs will continue to dance. It just may be a different way. Roy's in Orange County, California. He's next. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Roy.
Leo, how are you? You have a Logitech Revue, eh? Sure, I do, and I don't understand why Logitech is so down on it. I've had it for a couple of months. I think it's great.
So you bought it for $99, which is one reason you like it. You didn't pay $300 as I did for it. It's a little less likable. $300.
They are obviously dumping inventory.
Yes.
And my only. I think the big plus behind it is that it's Logitech. Mm-hmm. Logitech is first class when it comes to designing, interface devices.
Well, in a way, it's a Harmony remote, isn't it? I mean, you can use on your iPhone or your Android phone the Harmony software from Logitech. Makes it a multi-purpose remote. I think that keyboard, if you don't mind having a keyboard on your coffee table, works quite nicely. For instance, a Netflix search, which on the Roku box I have to go up, down, left, right, left. You just type on the keyboard, and there is a search, and things like that make it a lot easier. I actually have gotten used to the keyboard.
And it's real thin, and it's real light.
Yep. And it controls my TV and my set-top box because it's a universal remote, which Logitech does better than anyone.
Exactly. Plus, like most media players, it's got a couple of USB ports on it, so you can I've got an external hard drive that I hook up to it that I've loaded up with AVIs, and it's got the media player built in, and it it plays just fine.
I remember when a company, I can't remember what the company was, but there was a company a couple of weeks ago that added their playback capability to the Logitech Revue, and they said we were very pleasantly surprised. I think it was Plex. Yeah, Plex was added to the Logitech Revue, and they said we were very pleasantly surprised at the wide variety of video codecs, that's the compression style that's used, that the Revue supports. They think this is a very good piece of hardware, and I have to agree. But here's the question for you and me, Roy. Do you think Logitech, now that they've announced it was a $100 million boo-boo, and they're getting out of the Google TV business, do you think that we're going to get support for this? And from whom?
I don't know. It's a perfectly logical question to ask. I hope it will continue to be supported. It doesn't look like there's much to break on it.
True.
And it's at $99, it's a throwaway anyway.
Right.
Certainly,
I think we can write off hardware support. I don't know if Logitech a year from now, if I bring in a review, will fix it. But as long as Google continues to offer the latest software for it, and there's still an Android marketplace, and I can still buy apps for it, and it gets updated when there's bugs or security flaws, I'll be happy. I agree with you. I plugged it back into my TV because I'm waiting for this update that Google has promised.
As I am too. Now, I was going to buy a Roku, but and I guess I was mistaken, because the reason I bought the Revue was because it supports Chrome, and I think it's terrific to be able to sit there in bed, if you will, and be able to browse Facebook and Twitter and do your own email.
So do I, Roy, but we're geeks, aren't we?
Yeah, I know.
It reminds me a little bit of the old web TV where you had a keyboard and you'd get your email on the TV. It's Google's version of web TV, though, so it's Chrome and Gmail and all the Google apps, so it's a little bit more sophisticated. I'm kind of with you, Roy, but I have to say it is a geek appliance. It is not as easy to use as the Roku or the Apple TV. For most people, I would still recommend those two. But if you're a geek, $99, you're willing to take a chance, the Google TV has a lot to recommend it. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Chris Marquardt, he's our photo guy, joins us every week, or whenever he's in town, because he travels an awful lot, to talk about digital photography from his home in Tübingen, Germany. Hello, Chris.
Hey, Leo. I've had a pretty good run over the last few weeks, I guess.
It's been great having you on.
Yeah. So let's first answer that one question about the DSLR.
Okay, so he gave us 3 entry-level DSLRs from Sony, Canon, and Nikon.
My answer nowadays about these things is choose one of them in that price range, because they are all very similar, but take the one that your friends have.
Because you can borrow their lenses.
Exactly. If your friends have Canon, go for the Canon. If all your friends are Nikon, you want to be able to swap lenses. You want to be able to try out that 51.8. You want to be able to whatever.
Now, a good point to make is that all 3 companies, you can rent lenses fairly inexpensively. There are many companies that rent lenses for Canon, Nikon, and I'm sure now Sony too. And that's pretty cool. What about the mounts? Now, this is something that people have to keep in mind, that when you buy a Canon camera, it will only work with lenses
stuck for life
made for Canon cameras. Now, that could be Canon, but there are other companies like Sigma that make compatible ones. But you cannot use a Nikon lens.
Well, in some directions it's possible to get an adapter, but that's never a perfect solution.
Right.
That's only for the real geeks. So,
so you are committing to a brand in some sense.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Does the Sony's a Minolta, does it use a bayonet mount?
It's the old Minolta bayonet, the old Minolta lenses.
See, that might be a good choice, because there's a lot of old Minolta lenses you could buy on eBay. You won't get the electronics, you won't get the autofocus and the image stabilization, but you might get some great lenses cheap that way, right?
It's true, but again, the 3 big ones are Canon, Nikon, and Sony, and in the same price range, they are pretty much similar.
They're pretty much the same. I do like GPS built into the camera, though. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, I also think that's important that people go to a photo related store and try them out and see which one fits their hands. That's really important.
That's a good point.
Some people are just not made for Nikon. Some people are just not made for Canon. So you have to try them out.
Now, if you do that, you remember the shopkeeper's law. You can't go into a shop, try it out, get all your questions answered, and then go buy online. Not okay.
That's not nice. No.
For your first camera, later you can buy online. As you get more sophisticated, you buy lenses. For your first camera, go to a shop and buy it from the shop. Go to somewhere great, Bel Air Camera, one of these great local shops. They've been around a long time. We got to keep these guys in business.
True. Absolutely true. It's really important to be able to go and try them out. I think that's a really important thing.
So, Chris, what do you want to talk about today? I didn't ask you ahead of time.
Actually, I want to go slightly non-digital today. When's the last time you had like a bunch of pictures printed out from one event or from one day and held them in your hands?
No, geez, I haven't done that in ages. I've never print anything anymore.
And that's one of the problems. We have pictures on our screens. We only look at them for seconds each and then flip on. But having them in your hand is something really important. Now, I don't want to talk about printing, but one way to really kind of get that back and to kind of get a bit of an ease of photography back without having to hunt for the best picture all the time is to just get like a simple disposable camera and then bring it to the drugstore and get your pictures back.
Just so you can look at the prints. See, look at this. Look at this. Now, look at this.
And just so, though, you can... oh, wow. What is that?
So I'm lucky because I know some really good photographers like you.
All right.
This is Trey Ratcliffe sent me a beautiful museum-quality print of the last space shuttle launch. This is a picture he took, and I think he took it with my Nikon D70. I gave him my old Nikon because he thought it might get burned up on the launch. And so he had it automatically take this picture. It's a beautiful. I'm not sure if this is from it, but I think it is. And then I have, of course, Scott Bourne's amazing cranes in the Fire Mist, and I will back you up on this. When you have a print, it's a whole different thing. You really, you can take some time looking at it. You get to know it. It's very different.
Yep. But I was actually trying to steer this a bit towards the disposable camera direction, because what else can you do with a disposable camera? You can hand them out at weddings, at parties, at events, just drop them on the tables, collect them after the event. You will get very different pics from all the digital pictures you usually get. There's a project that's called the Disposable Memory Project. I highly recommend people to look that up. There are like hundreds of disposable cameras traveling around the world. You take a few pictures, you hand it off to someone with instructions, and then at the end they come back and you have those cameras that traveled the world. You wouldn't do this with a digital camera, but with a disposable, no problem whatsoever.
So you put your label, your brand, your address on it on a label, and you just give it to people, and you say pop it in the mail when you're done.
It's on disposablememoryproject.org. There are the cameras that have traveled the entire world. You get those shots from different people. Basically, they tell stories. They tell the story of a trip of a camera.
What a great idea.
And there's one last project that goes along those same lines. If you Google for camera mail, one word, there are so-called camera mail projects. People put cameras, disposable cameras, in the mail. They put instructions on there for the people who handle the shipping, like people who work at FedEx or UPS or the USPS, and ask them to take a picture. So you get those pictures of people, of the people who work in the camera transportation system, basically.
Look at this. This is a camera 341 in the Disposable Memory
Isn't that
Project.
awesome?
It traveled to Israel, Jordan, New York, Walt Disney World, Mackinac Island, Michigan, and then was returned.
A couple of years ago, we handed one out at the Everest Base Camp, and unfortunately that has disappeared, but it was worth a try.
Now, the one thing is, don't be too disappointed. These cameras aren't very good.
Not really, no. But then take a cheap compact digital camera, and they're not really that good.
That's true. I mean, they're grainy. The colors aren't very rich. But hey, it's an interesting idea. I kind of like this. I mean, here we are in Jordan. It's a kind of
storytelling, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, pretty amazing. So that's Disposable Memory Project. Is it .org? .org. Yeah. And so if you see a camera lying around, pick it up, take a picture, and pass it on.
They typically have instructions, so you would know what to do.
You would know. It wouldn't be a surprise.
Yeah. They come in a bag. They come in a bag with like a little sheet of paper that says everything.
What a clever, interesting idea. Artists are amazing, Chris. Now let's remind people, because I want them to participate in our assignment. It's not a competition. There are no prizes. It's really just the goal of it is to get you out there taking pictures. And in order to do that, it's very simple. First of all, you can join Flickr. That's where we're going to store these pictures, FLICKR.com. It's the word Flickr without the E. And that's a Yahoo site. So if you go, actually, you know what? I just typed Flickr with an E, and it takes you to Flickr.com. So either one will work. and if you go there, if you already have a Yahoo account, just use that to log in. Otherwise, create a free account. Then find the Tech Guy group. Just go to the groups menu, search for a group, type in Tech Guy, 2 words, and you'll find our group. Join that group. It's free to do so. You'll be 8,578 members so far. Orbit Gal will welcome you. And then you'll see right there in the group our current assignment. So Chris gives us an assignment every month. It's just a word. It doesn't say what it means. You get to decide that. So what's the current assignment, Chris?
The current assignment is, again, a one-word assignment. It's called screen.
Screen. Don't know what that means. Could be a screen door. Could be a computer screen. We don't know what that. Could be a TSA screening. It could be.
And we're already getting some very interesting entries here. Yeah,
I bet we are. So go to Flickr, upload 1 picture a week with that illustrates screen, and in a couple of weeks we'll pick 3 to talk about. Thank you, Chris Marquardt. ChrisMarquardt.com. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. It's the shuttle launch meets the Addams Family. Wow. If you enjoy the music on this show, or even if you don't, blame Kyle Benham, my musical director, and the guy in charge. What is that, Kyle? That's wild. It's kind of a horror movie shuttle launch. He's not talking. He's not talking. The show, the songs that you hear on the show, we do make a playlist. Kyle makes a playlist, which is great because people are always saying, "What was that?" And you can find that playlist on Kyle's Google Plus account. He's KYLEBENHAM on Google Plus. But we also post it on our website, techguylabs.com. You'll find it right at the bottom of episode 822 and every previous episode. We started doing that about a month ago. It's actually a Spotify playlist, which is fantastic if you have a Spotify account, because you can actually, you don't have to own the song. Just double-click the playlist and listen. It's a good deal. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number, and I'd love to hear from you if you have a question, comment, suggestion, like Cheryl in Whittier, California. Hi, Cheryl. You're next. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Hello, Cheryl. Oh, wait a minute. I got to push the button. That's my fault, Cheryl. I think I seem to have lost, my system's lost control. Hi, Cheryl. Go ahead.
Hi, Leo. I have an HP printer, an 820. I have Windows XP on my computer. And last week, my printer just prints out the page and it stops.
Yeah.
And now...
It thinks it printed the page, but there's nothing on it?
It prints like a few lines, and then it just spits out the paper.
It says, I'm done.
Yeah,
I'm done.
That's what it is. And now, when I try to print anything, even off the internet, or I'm just typing and I want to print something, now a little window comes up and it says, where do I want to save it? I don't save it. I just want the printer to print.
Wow, that's an interesting question. Why does it say, where do you want to save it? Well, the first thing I do is when you get that print dialog from the internet, make sure that the printer is selected. You know, you can select other things. There's a little drop down there. Now, you only have one printer, but Microsoft in Windows also gives you a ability to print to disk as a saved file. My suspicion is if you look carefully at that print box, that dialog box that comes up when you print from your browser, it probably has print to disk selected instead of the printer. So make sure the printer is selected. Now, the next problem is a little different, and I think that, how old is that printer?
Ancient.
Yeah. So it's an inkjet.
It works, though.
No, it doesn't. What do you mean it works? You just told me it doesn't work.
Well, no, it doesn't, but it did all the other things.
It did until it stopped.
Yeah.
So inkjet printers do wear out, believe it or not. Now, you probably have put new ink in it, and you know you're not out of ink, right?
Right.
Have you done the nozzle check? Have you run the clean nozzle routine?
Yeah, I tried that.
Yeah. And and then after you do the clean nozzle, it will print out, or it'll give you a chance to print out a test print. When you do the test print, does it look right?
Yeah, it looks normal.
Oh, that's interesting. So the test print, all the lines are printed, all the colors are correct, the alignment's good, everything like that.
Right.
Oh, dear. That's interesting. And then immediately after you do that and you try a print, it doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
Well, I think it's a software problem then. If the printer prints its test page correctly, then we know the printer is correct. I would go back, check your default printer in that dialog box, make sure you have the right printer selected. The other thing is maybe go to HP's site and see if there's an update for the software on that printer and download that. HP.com, they have it right there on the menu, drivers. And you go to your printer, make sure you got the right driver for it. It could also be, I mean, the margins are screwed up, yeah. The paper size is set wrong. I think what happened is you had a monkey in there and tried to print, and he clicked a bunch of buttons. And he screwed up the whole settings in your default printer dialog box. So what I would do is I'd go right now and say, take a page, any page, and say print, and look at that dialog box. You probably haven't looked at that in years. You just always click OK, OK, OK. Well, the monkey changed a lot of things. So make sure you got the right printer set, the right paper set. It should be set for 8.5 by 11 paper. You should make sure that the margins are set correctly, the defaults. If there's a button that says reset the settings, do that. I suspect that's all that's wrong there. It sounds like it's all of a piece of the same puzzle, Cheryl. Somebody got in there. Maybe you have a grandkid or a child and somebody's messing with it and start clicking around, and that kind of messed everything up. That'd be my guess. So look at that setting, those settings boxes. There's a whole bunch of them. In fact, you get one page, but you can go even deeper as you look through the drop downs and look at all the settings. Make sure the page is proper and all of that stuff. And it wouldn't hurt if that doesn't fix it then to go get the latest software and then reset the defaults and do it again. Good luck, Cheryl. Printer problems. That's the one thing when you're in IT. That's the thing you don't want to hear. My printer's not working. Oh, I don't want to hear that. That's the last call you want to get in the IT department. I can tell you right now. John in South Bend, Indiana, you're next. Hey, John, Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo. I am looking for a tablet that I can plug my SD card into from my camera and view the photos full screen and then choose to delete them off the SD card.
So an iPad, for instance, wouldn't work because you don't really have access to the contents of the card. It just copies it all over. You want something that you can mount the card.
There is a little dongle for the iPad that I can plug an SD card into, but I've looked into that. That doesn't do what I want.
Doesn't mount the card. And, of course, any computer will do that. You plug the card in. It looks like a drive. You can do exactly what you want. But you want something simpler, a photo wallet style thing.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for. I would really like to get some kind of a tablet. And I know there's Android tablets that take micro SD cards, but I really wanted the full-size, the regular-sized SD card that comes right out of my camera and plug that right in there and be able to look at the photos full screen and then decide which ones to delete right off the SD card without having to import them into anywhere. And
you're stuck on it. The tablet is what you want.
Yeah, I'd really like a tablet, yeah.
So that's a good question. Let me ask, because I don't know off the top of my head. I've never done this. There are a few... Yeah, there are a few tablets that support SD cards, and if you have an SD card adapter on it, you could just plug it into the adapter and then plug it into the SD card slot. Right. But what tablets would you recommend? The Zoom? What's a good tablet for this? Or maybe wait for the Windows 8 tablet? That's a good question. I mean, certainly you can get an adapter, so that micro SD card adapter will let you use a standard SD card on any of these devices. Now, remember, you can also delete the individual picture on your camera. That may be easier. Well, hey, how are you? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy, hour number 3 of the Tech Guy program. 8888 Ask Leo is the number if you want to call in and ask a question, make a comment, make a suggestion. 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. Outside the U.S., you can also call, but you just have to use Skype or something like that to call that toll-free number. Shouldn't cost you an extra money. 8888 Ask Leo. Boy, if you are a gamer, this was the week that was. Now, I'm not a big Call of Duty fan, but I know many people who are. Call of Duty came out, Modern Warfare 3, on Thursday. And $400 million of sales in the first 24 hours, making it the largest entertainment sales of all time, bigger than the biggest movie, bigger than any other game. In fact, the number 2 game was Call of Duty last year, which was, what was that called? Black Ops, right? Yeah, see, I'm not a big fan. But then, the day after that, something called Elder Scrolls V came out, Skyrim. And 250,000 people in the first day were playing it online at the same time. 250,000 people. I'm more the Skyrim guy. In fact, I'm trying to figure out what race I should be. I could be an orc, a wood elf, a Nord, a high elf, a dark elf. Lots of elf choices. A Breton or an Argonian. I can't decide. Before you play the game, you have to figure out what race you want to be. And then you get to design your face and your clothes and your facial hair. You get to create your character, name it. And then you go off in this sword and sorcery world that apparently is just huge. Hundreds of, I think well over 300 locales. There's a lake. There's all kinds of quests and goals. But what's interesting about this is it's not an online game. You're in your own little world. It's just you and the characters that the game creators created. Unlike World of Warcraft, a very similar world, but it's online. And so when you interact with people in Warcraft, most of the time you're interacting with real people. Not in this game. You're just interacting with the game. Still very, very popular. It'd be interesting to see. Compare this to Call of Duty. Would you rather be an army, fighting the war, World War III, basically, or in kind of modern times? Or would you rather be in a fantasy world, fighting dragons and orcs? By the way, you don't have to in Skyrim. You don't have to fight anybody. If you just want to go there and fish, you can. Believe it or not, you can be a carpenter. You can be a stonemason. You just work. Why you would play a game to work, I don't know, but that you can if you want to. And I think next week, right, Zelda, the new Zelda for the Wii comes out. Also supposedly amazing. How long before really we have a whole generation of people who don't live in reality? They just play these games all the time. I personally hope that they've got virtual reality by the time I'm ready for the nursing home, which means they better hurry because I'm getting there quick. 8888 Ask Leo, because then you see, I would live in Paris. I'd be in my nursing home, but I'd be in Paris. Mike in Sylmar, California. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Mike.
Hello, sir. I just wanted to ask you a question here. I have a program that's in 32-bit, but I'm trying to run it on my 64-bit computer. Is there some kind of a registry hack I can use, or
is it not running? Because it should just work.
Well, for some reason, this program is very particular.
The program doesn't like it. Not Windows, the program.
It'll start to install, and all of a sudden, like halfway through, it'll say it cannot install program. It is 64-bit, and this is 32.
Stupid. So. It's a stupid program. So you're using Windows 7?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just a dumb program. What you do is you trick it. And Windows 7 gives you this great way to trick it. It's called compatibility mode. And it essentially, Windows 7 will say, hey, I'm a 32-bit version. Come on, let's play. And your program will go, okay, yeah, sounds good. So it's not going to be a big deal. There's a couple of ways to go in compatibility mode. I haven't tried this much in Windows 7 because most programs, by the way, are now, pretty compatible. I think you have to right-click on the program icon and select compatibility mode. Yeah, I think that's how you do it.
Okay. I've tried that once, and it didn't seem to want to still install.
Even then, well, you'll notice now. So you right-click on the program, you select properties, you select that compatibility mode, and you'll notice you can run it in I could be Windows XP. I can be Windows Vista. I could be 32-bit. I could 64-bit. You could try all different ways of doing it. Now, I agree. Most of the time, you don't have to do this because Windows 7 is smart enough to handle this. So it may be you have one of those few programs that just, is not going to, it's dumb, but it's just not going to run. Which version of Windows 7 do you have? Professional?
The Ultimate and Professional I have.
Okay. So here's some good news. There's an XP compatibility mode where it's actually running XP. And that should be fine for this program. So you'll have to
when you download, you have to download this whole...
Yeah, it's free, though. I mean, they basically give you a copy of XP, and you run XP within Windows 7. That will solve it.
That's okay. Now, that's another question. I tried to download that, but it says the file's corrupt. Is that my computer, or is that Microsoft?
Sometimes you just want to pound your head on the desk, don't you? Just stymied at every turn.
Unbelievable, but is there any way?
What is this program? What is the name of this program? I always want to write this down.
XP. Was it XP?
No. The program you're trying to run.
Oh, it's a car repair program. It's called.
Yeah. See, this is the unfortunate thing is very frequently this is called a vertical program because it's not aimed at the broad, general, horizontal market, but aimed at a very narrow slice of it. In this case, auto repair shops. So very frequently, the people who write these programs, first of all, they charge through the roof, right? This is probably a $1,000 program, and they're not very good, and they don't spend a lot of time on this stuff. So, what is the name of the program?
It's called Vehicle. Vehicle After Sales Diagnostic Systems.
All right. So if anybody listening knows of a solution for this, or anybody in the chat room wants to help this guy out, maybe there's an update. You did pay a lot of money for this. It would be nice if the guy who wrote it would make it work with a modern operating system.
Oh, God, yes.
I feel your pain, Mike. I do. The other thing you can do is, and this is probably an easier thing to do, is you could get OneBox or VMware. There are a lot of emulation programs you could run, and you could literally run XP, not use the virtual PC solution that Microsoft's offering, which is free, but if you've got an XP disk lying around, actually, it may be this program was designed for Windows 98 or 95. So you could also run 95 or 98 in a virtual machine and do it that way. VirtualBox is free. It's from virtualbox.org. You install it. It's a small program. It's from Oracle. You run it, and then it'll say, okay, give me an install disk, and it'll in effect install a little virtual Windows 98 inside your Windows 7. You could even do DOS. I wonder if this is a DOS program. The older the program is, unfortunately, the more difficult it is for Windows 7 to trick it. And this sounds like a really funky program. This is very often when this happens, is when you get this vertical software that is really, written by somebody who probably didn't follow all the rules. And, you got to follow the rules for this stuff to work. 8888 Ask Leo, that's the number. We're going to take more calls in just a bit. I am Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Is this Zelda?
Zelda the Remix.
The Remix. Wow. I was never a Nintendo guy. There is a gulf between the Sega and the Nintendo folks. I was a Sega guy and an Atari guy before that one. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy, 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. We're talking at the end of the hour, and I think I got cut off, and I have to apologize. I think something went wrong with the computer. Oh, that never happens. And I got cut off. We were talking to a photographer who shot pictures on an SD card, and he was looking for a tablet that would let him put the SD card in the tablet and then copy the photos off, but he'd be able to mount the SD card like a drive so that he could manage it. He could delete photos from it and everything. And I think the choice that I don't know if it got on the air or not, but the final conclusion I came to is that until next year when the Windows 8 tablets start coming out, which will certainly do that and may be really good tablets. We'll have to see. Microsoft's clearly aiming at that tablet market. Until then, the ASUS Transformer is probably my favorite Android tablet choice. And I don't think I'm alone on that. Lots of people really like this. It's a tablet, an Android tablet that docks onto a keyboard. The keyboard has additional battery. You get 20 hours of battery life on this thing. Yes, it has USB slots. Yes, it has card readers. So you should be able to mount that, then delete images from the drive directly. But you'd have to dock it to use the SD card slot. That's on the dock, not on the tablet part itself. So he's going to have to live with that idea of having a keyboard, I think. Basically, at this point, you might as well buy a laptop, huh? 8888 Ask Leo. Anyway, that's I think that got cut off, so we'll make sure that that he heard that answer. Denny's in La Habra, California. Hi, Denny. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Oh, hey, Leo.
How are you?
I'm doing great.
Good.
So I got a question. I just finally upgraded from this old JVC CRT TV, like 32-inch thing, to a 55-inch LG LW5600.
Isn't that nice?
Oh, man, it's amazing.
Yeah. I got to say, these, I mean, you can say what you will, but HD TV, gorgeous.
Oh, I don't know why we waited anymore.
Yep.
So the issue I'm running into is I have a Sony surround sound. It's an old surround sound, but it still works. And I have an HDMI running from my cable box to the TV, and I don't have anything going from the TV to the surround sound. So instead I went cable box to the surround sound.
But then how do you get it out of the surround sound into the TV?
Well, what happens is it's just like a half second behind.
Yeah. What you need, unfortunately, is an AV receiver.
Uh-huh.
So think back to the old days of stereo systems, component stereo systems. You'd have speakers, you'd have a receiver, you'd have an amplifier. The AV receiver is the modern version of that receiver. It is an amp, it's a tuner, but it also has HDMI in, and it has the surround sound out that will go to your speakers. So you'll be able to use the speakers, you'll be able to see the TV, and you won't have that lag because it's designed to do exactly that.
I was thinking, I saw that the TV has an optical audio out and the receiver
You could
has
use that.
Audio in.
Yeah.
That would work?
Yeah, you could use that also. That should work. Now, and I don't think you'll have sync issues with that. So in that case, you're in effect using the TV as your AV receiver, and you're taking the audio out of that over the optical cable. That should look good. That should sound good, I should say.
Okay, and then the one last question that I have is about DLNA and streaming movies over my network.
Mm-hmm.
I can't get it to show MKV movie files.
Yeah.
I'm using my iHome.
So what are you playing the MKV movie files on?
It'd be running over the TV from my computer.
So you're playing them back on the computer. You can see them on the computer.
Oh, no, it's streaming it over a DLNA.
Okay. So DLNA, the idea of DLNA is it wirelessly or wired will allow you to play material from your computer or tablet or smartphone into your TV. But you are you accessing your hard drive on your computer from the TV? Is that how you're doing it?
Yes. This TV has the ability to do that.
So in this case, the TV can't understand the MKV format.
It would seem.
If you go to dlna.org, I'm seeing from the chat room, they will actually say what formats various TVs support. LG does not support MKV, the Matryoshka format. It does support XFIT, AVI, MPEG-4 with AAC. These are much more common. MKV is often used as a wrapper. It's really inside that MKV file is an H.264 file. So the MKV, the Matryoshka, is just a wrapper around it. So what you probably want to do is just take those files that are on your computer, process them, turn them into H.264, standard MPEG-4 format, and your TV will handle them fine.
All right, that's what I was thinking I would do.
Yeah. You're going to need to do that. It's just the TV. The other thing is you could play it on the computer and then send it to the TV because the computer does understand MK4, or MKV, I should say. The best thing is, you know what, strip that Matryoshka wrapper off. It is unfortunately, it's commonly used in pirated movies. And it's unfortunately, it's the kind of thing enthusiasts like, but most standard consumer electronics gear just chokes on it. Can't handle it. Doesn't like it. Won't look at it. possibly because it is associated with pirated content. Let's move on here. Brian is going to Europe. He's in Culver City right now. Hey, Brian, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hello? I'm still, yeah, Kyle. I'm still having a little trouble with audio cutting in and out. Yes, Brian, go ahead. If I lose you, just keep talking. What can I do for you?
Well, my wife and I are going to Europe in April of 2012. We've been limping along on the dreaded BlackBerry RIM cell phones, and we were wondering if this trip to Europe should be the trigger.
Yes. Yes, 100 times yes.
To upgrade to an Apple iPhone, both from the perspective of better and more available apps to help us navigate in and around Europe.
Oh, I tell you, when I was in Paris last December, I used Zagat, I used Yelp, I downloaded a Paris guide from DK Interactive. It was gorgeous. I downloaded the Paris Metro Maps. You're right. Traveling with a smartphone that has the right apps, and the iPhone really is the one for this, is fantastic. Now, a couple of things to be aware of. It's going to be very expensive to make phone calls. Even if you buy the international package, it's still expensive. So don't tell people to call you. Use it for emergencies, right? And the second thing is you have to buy a data package, a European data package. It's about $1 a megabyte. It's kind of expensive. So the ability to use this phone in Europe, you'll be able to use it. You'll be able to use it great. Just kind of be aware of the fact, use Wi-Fi when you can, because the 3G data is $1 a megabyte, and you do have to buy before you go.
Oh, really? Okay. All right.
So AT&T, Sprint, Verizon, it doesn't matter. Now, normally I'd say AT&T because it's the GSM carrier in the U.S., but the iPhones that are being sold for Sprint and Verizon can be turned into international GSM phones. They have that capability.
Okay.
So you can buy from any carrier. I think the iPhone is a great choice. It's what I carry when I travel, and I love it. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Let's move on to Beth in Brooksville, Florida. Hey, Beth, Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi.
Hey.
I don't live that far from a hospital that has free Wi-Fi. I'm about a mile away. There's nothing, absolutely nothing between me and the hospital. Is there an antenna that I can buy that can boost that signal so I can get free Wi-Fi?
Well, not legally.
No, not legally.
No. Well, did you ask the hospital?
No. I'm just wondering.
Well, first of all, a mile.
I'm a totally honest person. I will ask them.
Yeah, they probably. I'll be honest with you, Beth. They probably have it blocked, but a mile away is so far away that you would have to, you could maybe in theory if you got a very highly directional antenna, but it would cost you a lot of money. You'd be better off just going to your local internet service provider and buying your Wi-Fi. I think there's probably a lot of people out there. Somebody once told me that the #1 internet service provider in the U.S. is called Linksys. There are a lot of people out there who just see an open Wi-Fi access spot and say, hey, I'm online. It's magic. The internet just appeared. But really, you're using somebody else's internet, and there are risks associated with it. First of all, it isn't legal to do that, although prosecutions are extremely rare. Not unheard of, but extremely rare. But there's also some security issues, because if you're on somebody's network, you can see their stuff, but they can also see your stuff. And I wouldn't be surprised if bad guys out there set up free internet access, Wi-Fi access points, just to watch what you're up to, maybe steal some passwords. So I'd be very careful about using an open internet access point that you don't know where it came from. Go to McDonald's. That's right. Buy a Big Mac. You can sit there all day. 8888. Ask Leah. A mile away is way too far. Wi-Fi is designed really for 150 to 300 feet. That's about it. May in Dana Point, California. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo. How are you?
I'm good, May. How are you?
Very good, thank you. I told my husband to call you yesterday, and he said as soon as
get to talk to Queen of England than to talk to you. So,
And so you showed him, May. You said, "Oh, call him," and you did. You got in.
I know, and I don't have all the right questions to ask you, but let's see if you could help me with limited knowledge that I have. We have 2 video cassette cameras.
Okay.
One of them is about 20 years old.
Wow.
It has high 8. One has a high 8 mini cassette, and one is bigger one. The one that has bigger cassette tape, it doesn't have the USB attached to it.
USB doesn't help you anyway on these. Don't worry. You can't use the USB. That's for still pictures. Yeah.
Okay, and we have so many of these video cassettes that it's going to cost us arm and leg in order to convert them. We just gave one to Costco to see how it's going to turn out. It's $18, so we have about 70, 80 of them, and it's going to cost too much.
That's a lot of money.
Money. Do you have any clever idea for me to buy us?
I do.
For us to buy something for $200-300 and
Yes.
convert them ourselves.
I do. Panasonic and others make a special DVD, VHS. Oh, but you don't have VHS, do you? They're high 8, all of them?
Yes, high 8.
Okay. Take that back. If you have VHS tapes, they make boxes that have 2 slots, a VHS and a DVD recorder. You put the VHS tape in, you put a blank DVD in, you press record, and boom, it does it. Some of those may also have connectors in the back, but I'm going to tell you what I use. It's about, do you have a computer?
Yes.
Okay. How modern is your computer?
Just bought an Apple computer.
Oh,
about
good.
5 months old.
Oh, excellent. Oh, I'm happy to hear that. So you have a FireWire port, you have a modern computer, you have iMovie because it comes with the Apple. There's a company called Grass Valley. Just think of cows wandering through a valley eating the grass. Grass Valley. And they make a little box that's called the ADVC, the Analog to Digital Video Converter.
Okay.
And the little box has 2 ends on it. On one end, they've got connectors for your camcorder. They're the connect, not the USB, but the standard connectors that go into the camcorder, which is composite audio and video. It's a yellow, red, and white. You may have to get a special cable coming out of your camcorder, but all camcorders of that vintage will have that kind of output. And then the other end of the box has a FireWire cable that goes in your computer. And the beauty of this is now you plug it all in, you launch iMovie, you press the capture button, it rewinds the tape, and it captures it all to your hard drive. Now, this device is not cheap. It's about $160, but you only buy it once, and now you have it all on your hard drive. You spent the biggest part of the money was the Mac, and you already have that.
Yes. And how would I get hold of this company? Would you put that on your site?
Yeah, we'll put it on the Tech Guy site, which is techguylabs.com. But you can just tell your husband to Google Grass Valley. Remember the cows wandering through the valley, eating the grass? Grass Valley. And this is the hard part, ADVC.
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 Right,
and the cheapest one is the 55, and that's all you need.
Thank you so much. And I'm going to make him sit next week and dial the phone until he gets to talk to you.
And we will tell him that you have called the Queen of England. Thank you. We are not amused. Thank you, May. Your husband's going to say, you what? You got in? I can't believe it.
Thank you so very much.
Thanks, May. Yeah, these are basically boxes. This is what Costco uses, actually, is they're just a box that takes the analog output of a camcorder, turns it into bits inside this box, and then sends the bits down the FireWire to your TV. In fact, it's what we've used for years. We use the ADVC 110 to take the, we don't have to use it anymore because we have digital video coming out of our switchers here in the studio, but in the old days when we had analog video coming out of our switcher, that's what we would use. We'd take the analog video out of the switcher, turn it into FireWire, and then send it upstream so you could watch our shows on the internet. That box was in service for 4 years without a problem. For 24/7 ADVC. We use the 110. But I think you could get away with the 55, which is a little less expensive. Mark's on the line from Orange County, California, listening to the great KFI. Hi, Mark. Leo Laporte,
hey,
the
Leo.
tech guy. Hey.
It's great to talk to you. I have to tell you, we're longtime listeners. My wife just adores you, so I'm sending hello to you from her.
What's your wife's name?
Kayla.
Hey, Kayla.
She's listening in the other room. The problem I'm having just got me sort of confused, so that's why I'm calling, is my music playback from iTunes. I'm having trouble with crackling and distortion when I play back from the hard drive. But if I play a CD, it plays back fine.
Well, let's figure that out. Hang on. We'll answer your question right after this. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Right here.
Oh, I hope it's clean.
It's clean. It's his one clean one. I'm 16.
I don't know if I should tell people that. Henry's going to kill me. This is my son Henry, who is a dubstep fan. And actually, he told me, Kyle Benham, our musical director, selected this as the last song of the show. He told me, he said, none of the songs on SoundCloud are any good. I'm taking them all off. So this is the last chance you're going to hear this. We now have to pay him ASCAP BMI royalties, however. He's done so much better stuff, the latest stuff. I'm really proud of him. He's 17 years old, high school junior, and he's just fallen in love with electronic music. You know, he's a fan first listening to it. But he has, a iMac on his desk, which we got for schoolwork, not for music, but it's a very good music machine. And he uses Logic Express, which is a very nice, a couple $100, but very nice music synthesis program that really lets you do almost anything. And I'm pretty proud of him. He's done quite well. But he says he's deleting. He says, those are old. Those are old. I'm deleting them all. I'm putting on new stuff. All new stuff. Now, I didn't hear any crackles on that. So were you playing that from your iTunes, Kyle, or were you playing that from the CD? You're playing that from the computer. So Mark on the line from Orange County, California says, when he plays music in iTunes, but when he plays the CD, it sounds fine.
Yeah, and I just tested another CD while I was on hold with you, and now this one's crackly. So it may be one problem. So yeah.
It's nuts.
I reloaded the driver. I deleted the driver for the sound card and reinstalled that, and that didn't matter. So I don't know if it could be the sound card or
it may be a noisy connector. One thing you might want to look at is, and they're not very expensive, is getting a something like the Griffin iMic. That's what I use, which is a USB audio device. So you plug it into the USB port. I presume you're connecting to your audio jack on your Mac.
Oh, I'm not on the Mac, though. I'm on the PC.
Or PC, either way.
Yeah.
So if you use the USB audio connector, it's basically a USB sound card. So it gets bits from the computer, not audio from the computer. It gets bits through the USB port. From the computer's point of view, it looks just like a sound card. It sends it the bits. There's a dongle at the other end of the USB cable that converts those bits to audio, and then you plug the mini jack into that instead of the one in the back of your computer. The problem with sound cards and computers is they're stuck in a very noisy environment. There's all this radio frequency generated by the processor, the fans, all this stuff. So it also could be a mechanical issue. It could be a bad sound card, could be a sound card driver. In general, people who want the best quality audio out of their computer do this anyway. They use a USB audio driver. Now, did this just start happening when you upgraded iTunes?
Well, no, I actually have a different computer, and I pulled a hard drive off of the computer that an older computer that I sent off to the boneyard, and then added this hard drive to a second computer, and it's not a brand new computer, so it's an older computer, but so all the iTunes music stayed on that old drive. It's now the F drive, and so when I reinstalled iTunes on this new computer and then just directed everything towards that F drive where all the music was on, I started having
That's when it happened, huh?
Problem. Yeah.
So is the F drive, it is internal, though. It is an internal drive.
It is internal, right.
It could be a hardware problem. It could be a software problem. You could plug headphones. Dr. Mom's pointing out you could plug headphones into the audio jack, see if that makes it go away, in which case it'd be a cable or a speaker issue.
Right. I tried that. I've tried that.
And you still hear the crackle.
Right. And now this is a real stretch, but is there any relationship between internet connection when you're on iTunes and playback? And I say that only because I have, in this part of the house, I'm in a wireless and I have pretty low reception. So,
now, in fact, apparently, according to the chat room, this is a known problem with iTunes and Windows. There are some fixes to this. Web8651 in our chat room says he changed the rate in the QuickTime settings and that fixed it. I don't know exactly what he means by that, but that's something to try. He said, I had this issue. Others are saying, oh, yeah, this is a known problem with the latest version of iTunes. That's Web7263. But you might look at the sample rate or the bit rate settings and make sure that the bit rate settings are correct. They match the recording. If it is iTunes, you should be able to use another program. Try playing it back through that. Get a copy of Media Monkey, which I like, and see if that has the crackling problem. Maybe you have VLC or you have Winamp. Or you can play Windows Media Player. Try other players and see if you have the same problem. If you don't, well, then it's an iTunes issue. And apparently there is an iTunes issue. I actually like Media Monkey the best. It's free and it's a great media manager. In fact, we'll do everything iTunes will do. But it's better for Windows. iTunes is not notoriously good for a good program on Windows. Bill in San Diego, California. You're next. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Bill.
Hello.
Hello.
I have a lot of raw pictures that I've taken with my camera, and I'm having a problem utilizing them with the present software that I have.
You said you're using Photoshop?
I am.
Well, you got to have your camera, according to the screener, is a Canon 5D Mark II?
Yes.
Yeah. You got to have the latest Adobe Camera Raw, that ACR. So if they updated that for the Mark II 3 years ago, but maybe you don't have the latest version. Does it not open up those files automatically?
It won't. It doesn't recognize them, and the extension is CR2.
Yeah, that's the raw file format for the Canon 5D Mark II. I know because that's what I use, and I use it with Photoshop 5.
Now, okay. So
5. How old is 5?
5 is a couple years old.
I wonder if those good folks at Adobe have decided not to update your Adobe Camera Raw because you're using such an old version of Photoshop.
Exactly.
Oh, I hate that. There's no reason in the world, no technical reason, that they shouldn't update you. It's purely financial. They want to sell you another version of Photoshop. We're up to 8 now, right? So you're a little behind.
Yeah, and Picasso won't work, right?
Picasso should work, yeah. This is such a common camera that I'm sure almost everybody will open it. AC/DC will open it for sure. Paint Shop Pro will open it. You know what? Save money. Get the latest Photoshop Elements. That'll open it. It is the #1 camera among professional photographers. You should have no trouble opening it. The only issue is Adobe, in their infinite greed, has decided not to update you. Is it from 1997? Really? Is it that old? Oh, it's not CS5. It's Photoshop 5. Oh, and CS, we're up to CS10 now. That's what it is. That's what it is. So it is pretty old. All right, maybe that's not greedy. I think after 14 years, you probably deserve another, couple $100. Either look at the upgrade or the current. I'm confused. The current version is CS 5.5, but that's Photoshop 10. You figure it out. And I gather that Bill actually doesn't have CS5. He has Photoshop 5, which is really, really old. In any event, you could get Photoshop Elements under $100 if you really want Photoshop. And it sounds like you're a serious photographer because you're using a very fancy camera. You probably should just upgrade it. I don't think it'll be that expensive. Hey, thanks for the calls, everybody. Thank you for joining me. I do hope you have a great Geek Week, and I'll be back next week. Let's talk. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy.